I, despite myself, love this franchise. It's one of those things that the first film is one of those. I'm not covering any new ground by saying it. It's one of those era defining um, movies. I think 99 was a pretty exceptional year for film, and that comes in right at the top of it. And then came the sequels, and there's no secret in the fact that they didn't really measure up to the promise of the first film, and and yet and yet I revisit them, and yet I love them, and yet I go back and I so much of the best action stuff comes from those sequels, and so much of the great kind of pushes forward in visual effects come from those sequels, and despite the convoluted and heavy sometimes nonsensical stuff, such as the architect. I love that scene with the architect. I absolutely love it. I love Neo. I love seeing Keanu Reeves do something with his face. It's extraordinary. I love him, in all of the different screens, and you see his entire range played out before you. Um, all two episodes of that, and you'll come to realize I'm a huge Keanu Reeves fan, but the original trilogy, the original film stands alone as for me as something wonderful. The two sequels are also there and extend the story, but so I love it, and they came out when I was just a wee small lad, um, very very small actually. I was very tiny in 1999, um, and yeah, so I've kind of grown up with them, and so I approached the Matrix Resurrections with all full of excitement and hope, and yeah, probably shouldn't have done that.
I uh I'm the same actually, and it's great to hear that you such a ringing endorsement for the original trilogy. I really love the first film, um, but I don't have this kind of reverence for it like a lot of people do. I think it's
Hmm.
a great film, no question. I think it pushes so many boundaries on so many different levels. But I also found that, maybe it's the screenwriter in me, I do find the story to be a very safe story.
Hmm.
I've always compared it more to like a Rocky movie where it's this, you know, uh, this guy wasting his potential, plucked from obscurity, trained to be the best, and taking on the champ at the end. And that is pretty much the structure, beat for beat, of the Matrix. Finding his love interest along the way, Trinity watching from ringside, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's very much that kind of story. And I've always argued that the first Matrix film is more genetically similar to a Rocky film than it is to its own sequels. But that's also why
Yeah.
I really like the sequels, because I think the sequels, yeah, they're not masterpieces. The second film doesn't even have much of a story to tell, really.
No.
You know, I watched them again last year for the first time in a long time, a very, very long time. I watched them last year, and I enjoyed the scenes in The Matrix Reloaded. I didn't enjoy the overall narrative experience, but
Yeah.
that highway chase still holds up today. Um,
It's great.
Matrix Revolutions, I really got sucked into. I really enjoyed that way more. That was the one I liked the least before, and now it was the one that I really enjoyed the most. I think the battle cry that the commander makes, where he says, "If we have to give our lives, we give them hell before we do." It's like this short,
Yeah.
concise battle cry. It doesn't drag on for ages like a Lord of the Rings film or anything, which has great, you know,
Of course.
motivational speeches. But this is like a really, like, I don't have the patience for this war. Let's just get it over
Yeah.
with. I'm an old
All the
man as
time.
it is.
Yeah. All the
Yeah,
time.
I'm like, I don't
It's
have
that
much
urgency.
time left. Let's just get on with this, and it's just this
Yeah.
really great, concise, and it's a real screenwriter's
Yeah.
um speech, and I love it.
I think the third of the trilogy is the stakes become very human. That they're massive, but you get to spend a bit more time in Zion, and you've had that build up in the second, and then when you get to the third, you get to see what happens then. And you I think you feel it. I think you really feel the idea that this is humanity feels very vulnerable and very kind of stuck there. And then these great hulking sentinels coming into the dock, and is it the general who just swears? That's his only line. Just God damn it the whole time, and they're like, it's just great, not creative but great. And I think you just feel it. I think it's very visceral. I think it's the tie up of, which actually is one of my main points with Resurrections, the way it ties up Neo and Trinity and has them together, and they go right to the end and together, and Neo having to kind of carry on after the death of Trinity in that way, I think is so powerful and very and really quite profound. So I agree with you on that. I think the third film is far more compelling than the second, and the second just feels like it happens. The second's there. It's got some great stuff in it. Like the ghost twins are just so great, and I love them. And I think your analysis of that being that you like the scenes of the film more than you like the film, I think I would entirely agree with that, for sure.
Yeah, and I don't think I think Reloaded has its place. It is a movie that is designed to. It does a great job of setting up something's not right, something is happening, things are in motion, and oh crap, they're coming, and it
does also bring you the Merovingian for the first time.
Yeah, I won't even attempt to pronounce his. I've never been able to pronounce his name correctly.
Is that right? I'm going with Merovingian. Makes him sound like a fruit though, or a vegetable.
The French nightclub owner is how I've always just described him.
I like it.
But the third film doesn't get enough credit either for the way that it has informed superhero movies moving forward. If I recall correctly, Superman Returns got the green light based on that, and even if that film wasn't massively well received, it starts a chain reaction then where now superhero movies are just part and parcel of our monthly experience going to the cinema these days. I mean, it seems, sure. Or Disney Plus or whatever. So I for all their flaws, and there are a lot, those films have their place. They've expanded the universe in huge ways. The Matrix universe, they explore things that the first film didn't do.
Yeah.
The first film is very safe, as I said, and I think that's where I was coming from with to watch The Matrix Resurrections. I'm bringing all of this with me. I'm bringing all of this expectation that I'm going to get a movie that's going to push the universe forward, but that's also going to push the way we watch movies forward a little bit, even just a little bit. I expect this film to be standing on the shoulders of Inception, of Tenet, of any of those Christopher Nolan kind of big sci-fi movies that have, changed the way that we make, that we make movies now. I'm expecting them to come into a world post Return of the King, post Avatar, post Endgame, and all those visual effects defining movies.
Yeah.
Industry changing movies. Because it's been about 17, 18 years since
it has, yeah.
Matrix Revolution, or since they made those films, I mean, when the films came out was, obviously maybe a year or so afterwards, but
sure. Things have come on a long way since then, and the big thing that happened with the original trilogy and the leaps forward, there have been so many more since then, and I think I was with you on that. I was with you. I was waiting for that thing. I was waiting for that thing to happen. That thing that kind of jumps out and goes, "Wow, that's." And I think the film is, kind of to its credit, I think that Resurrections is aware of that.